Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. So every so often I like to show you guys some of my acquisitions, some of the dinosaur figures that I've bought over the last few months, because I do tend to buy quite a bit of older figures when I have money, stuff that I don't normally review, although if you guys are interested in them, I can start to review some of these older, very cool figures. But a lot of the figures that you're about to see were bought like months ago, because I really haven't been buying too many lately, just been kind of broke, I guess you could say, with the whole coronavirus thing going on and everything. Nobody's working. It's just been an all-around awful time for everyone. So a lot of these are like probably a couple months ago, right around before the coronavirus thing really started to hit the United States. But regardless, they are some really cool figures I did want to show off. Some of them I may end up reviewing at some point, and some of them maybe not, I don't know. If any of them are figures that you would like to see reviewed, make sure you let me know down in the comments, and I will do just that. But the very first set of figures I want to bring in are a few different UKRD figures that I've purchased lately. This one clearly is the Stegosaurus. It's not really that great of a figure, but it does still have a pretty fun, very vintage, old school vibe, which most of the UKRD figures usually do. And I had actually purchased that Stegosaurus with this Brachiosaurus. Now, I actually do already have the Brachiosaurus, but I had it in a different color scheme. I did not have it with this specific color scheme, so I was still pretty excited to get a different variant of the figure. Once again, pretty vintage looking, not really that great, but I do still quite like these figures. And the figure that I actually purchased a lot to get was this one. Now this supposedly here, if you look at the underside, although I have it upside down, but if you look at the underside, it claims it is an Allosaurus. But we're going to see the 2 digits here, plus the clear appearance of it kind of looking like a very vintage Tyrannosaurus Rex, and say that it's just labeled wrong. But honestly, the figure is just beautiful. As far as the old school vintage style Tyrannosaurus goes, I would say that's probably about as perfect as it gets, even including the very cool skin hanging from the neck and everything, tail dragging on the ground. The paint scheme on it is also really nice, and the overall sculpt is actually quite phenomenal as far as I'm concerned. So I was really psyched to get all 3 of these, but specifically this guy here I was really happy about. There are actually, I think, 2 different paint variants. There may be more that I've never actually seen. This one seems to be the rarer of the paint variants. There's also a bluish version out there, which I do want to get my hands on at some point very soon, but I was so psyched to have this one, and again, it's one of my best acquisitions in quite a while as far as I'm concerned, just because I grew up on the vintage look and absolutely love the look of this figure specifically. And then as far as UKRD figures go, we actually also got this guy, which is not really that good. He's not that appealing. It's just a very cool Parasaurolophus figure, but we also got this, and again, this was a lot of 2 figures that I found on eBay just like the last ones, and I purchased it again for this figure here because he, even though he's quite goofy looking, he is a really cool old school vintage interpretation of what the Protoceratops kind of was displayed as when I was a kid, and I really thought that the sculpt and everything on it looked really nice. Of course, there is some paint wear. It's a very old figure. I think it's 1991 if we look here on the underside. Yes, I believe that's 1991, so clearly it's pretty darn old, and it's got a little bit of a wear and tear to it, but I really am excited about this one as well. I love Protoceratops, probably my favorite ceratopsian, or definitely one of my favorite ceratopsians. So to have this very cool looking UKRD figure in my collection is definitely awesome. Then there was another lot of figures that I picked up, and one figure included in the lot is the Mattel Baby Tyrannosaurus Rex, which we have reviewed on the channel already, and I just got it basically because there were a few figures that I did want in the lot. A couple other figures that I got that I already had was the Schleich Velociraptor, which is not a very good figure. And then I also got another one of these Battle Damage, I guess you can call it that, Baryonyx figures from the Mattel line, because why not? I'm probably going to end up repainting both this and the Rex, and probably the Raptor as well, just because why would I not? It's here, and the Baryonyx fell over. But it's here, and I don't really like the figure that much. I already have one in my collection, and I would like to see what it looks like painted up in a different, more realistic style, so I'll probably paint that at some point as well. But I actually bought the lot for this guy and one other one. This is the Kid Galaxy Coelophysis, and I thought it looked really nice, honestly. Maybe not the most accurate interpretation of Coelophysis, but an overall very appealing looking figure. and I will definitely be reviewing this one here on the channel, as well as this one, which is another of the Kid Galaxy figures. This one is their Allosaurus. So I definitely wanted to get a hold of these because I think that they're quite nice looking, even though, again, not accurate in any way, but the sculpts overall have some decent detail to them. I actually like the paint jobs on them as well, so I was intending on getting a hold of them at some point. My intentions were probably to buy the actual multi-packs that they come in, but when I saw these two listed with these potential repaints here, and now he fell over. Boy, none of these guys want to balance today. But when I saw all of these figures together, I think I paid like $11 or something. It was really cheap on the Facebook Marketplace to get them shipped to me. I definitely could not say no and purchase them right away. Then we have two more very cool figures, and you can tell probably straight away that we have got a Kong figure here, and it seems like everyone has balancing issues today. No one wants to stand. But we've got a Kong figure, and then we also have the V-Rex. Now these figures here, I believe, are Playmates figures, clearly from the Peter Jackson King Kong film. And I was really excited to get these guys as well, as I did not have either of them previously, and I really do love the V-Rex from that film. So any interpretation of that, I'm glad to include in my collection. I think I paid like 15 bucks for the both of these, which they do tend to go for a good bit more sometimes I see on eBay. So again, a good price and awesome figures. Anytime I have that kind of a deal, I'm super happy. Then we have a very large figure coming in here, and as you can see, it is the gigantic Disney's Dinosaur Carnotaurus. Now I actually already had one of these, so I didn't really need another, but I always thought the sculpt on it looked awesome, and I really wanted to get one and repaint it. So that's pretty much what I bought this one for. I am going to repaint it sometime very soon, so make sure you check out that video when it does eventually drop, and I actually get around to repainting this beautiful Carnotaurus. And speaking of the Disney's Dinosaur Carnotaurus, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that I do like that Carnotaurus, that version of Carnotaurus. And you can see I got another variant of the figure. It's clearly not the same figure as before, but this is some sort of like a weird electronic walking version. It does work, and unfortunately I took the batteries out just because that's usually something you do when it comes to a piece like this. When you get it in the mail, you don't want it to get damaged any further by leaving the batteries in there, and anything going wrong with the batteries would then damage the inside. So I did take the batteries out right away and preserve the insides of this poor Carnotaurus, but it's a pretty cool figure. The tail is a little iffy looking, but anytime I can add a Disney's Dinosaur Carnotaurus to my collection, anytime I can add a Carnotaurus to my collection, it is definitely a great day, since Carnotaurus is my favorite dinosaur of all time. So even though it's not the most appealing Carnotaurus figure, I was really happy about it. And then we got these guys, which until recently I had never actually even heard of these figures. I have one. Well, I actually have the Allosaurus, and only the Allosaurus previously, and I saw this lot going up for sale on eBay and was really interested in them, so I took a chance and bought them, and I found out that at least these guys, which these are Kentrosaurus figures, I believe were originally sculpted by Kyoto, so I don't know if they're bootlegs exactly or what, but we also have a very cool Kentrosaurus back here. The Kentrosaurus is kind of ugly. He's not really that great. The Kentrosaurus as well isn't really that great either, but I still think it's a really nice looking figure as far as its appearance goes. It's just that the actual sculpt and everything up close doesn't look that good, but I definitely think it looks pretty decent. The paintwork in general is a little sloppy, especially the eye areas. That's not focusing very well, but especially the eye areas of the figures. But I definitely was quite excited to get a hold of these, and I believe the company that created these is called Wafun or something along those lines. I think it's Waiphon or something like that. Again, I'm not very familiar with the figures, but now that I've discovered them, and especially this Kentrosaurus, with how nice it looks, I'm definitely going to be looking further into them. And we are coming down to the last two of my more recent acquisitions, and both are pretty darn rare figures, one of which is this. This is the Safari Ltd Kentrosaurus, which you can see here on the tag. It is incredibly hard to find this figure. I had actually seen it for the first time at the Dinosaur store in Florida when I was on vacation. They have one of those super cool old school Carnegie mountain tops that you can put all your dinosaurs on to display, and I had noticed this figure sitting up on top, this and the Scutosaurus, and ever since then I've kind of been relentlessly trying to get a hold of one. I always missed both this and the Scutosaurus, but I recently saw someone selling one of these on eBay, and immediately ordered it because I really think the figure overall is a beautiful, beautiful Kentrosaurus. So I'll be definitely reviewing that one as well in the very near future. And the very last figure I got is huge. And unfortunately, I don't actually have it built or anything, but this, as you could probably tell if you are even remotely familiar with it, is the Horizon Brachiosaurus, the Jurassic Park Horizon Brachiosaurus, and I have wanted to get an original of this figure for so long, but the prices on it were always absolutely insane. I actually have a bootleg version of one that a seller was selling on eBay. I picked it up a few years before I even realized that Horizon figures existed. I just thought it was a really cool model kit, so I bought one and built and painted it like the Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus. But then I found out that it was actually bootlegged and copied from the Horizon kit, so I've always wanted one ever since, an original, and now I officially have one. I'm still just kind of in the debating phase if I want to actually build it and paint it or just keep it in the box, but it's kind of killing me leaving it in the box, but at the same time, the box is so beautiful, I just really don't know if I want to take it out. But regardless, these are all the very cool figures that I've purchased over the last few months. Again, they're not too recent, especially as there's a whole lot going on in the world right now, and most of us aren't working anymore, so we can't really afford most of the things we want to buy, but these figures I thought were all awesome, this very cool model kit included, and I did want to show you guys. So, keep checking your area for very cool dinosaur deals, keep checking eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, all those fun places, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.